let's go ahead and start taking a look at different types of runtime errors that we can get. Runtime errors occur in your program because something went wrong while the program was running that couldn't be detected until we got to the line that the error happened at. So let's go ahead and do this. Print, this is a test. Print the print, let's add two numbers. Print, let's go ahead and add 3 plus 3. So this is an example of a runtime error where we get a type error where the types don't really match, right? Where we're expecting one type and we get a different type. So, and this is more common when things are stuck in variables. So you've declared that a couple lines up, and here we do x plus y, and we evaluate x, we evaluate y, and we add them together and try to evaluate that, and we get an issue. Now notice what happens when you get a runtime error. It says this is the file that occurred, because you might be working with multiple Python files. Probably not in this class, but you could be. Print x plus y. And then it tells you this is the line it occurred on, x plus y. And this is the line that happened. It says line 5. Now, some IDEs have the line number listed right over here on the left. Here, idle by default has it little tiny over here in the bottom right corner, which I'm covering up. I'll go ahead and take this window and move it over. Here, you can see it over here. I'm going to circle my mouse around it a bit. So let's go ahead and actually configure idle and change that up a bit. Let's go ahead and see, do we have that? Show line numbers in new windows, apply. So let's go ahead and see there. So now let's close this. Recent files. Aha, so much better. And now we've got our line number over here. That really helps figure this out. I would highly suggest using that feature. So you've got this error over here, but it tells you what happened. It tells you where it happened, and it tells you what happened. So let's read it. Even though we know what happened, let's read it and pretend we didn't. Unsupported operand types. Okay? So it means the things that got operated on, the types were wrong for the plus operation. Int and string. So that didn't work. So, int and string. You can't add an int and you can't add a string together like that. Let's go ahead and see this. Let's go ahead and run it with this. Print x and y. Here we get a classic result of a name error where we just simply forgot to define a variable. Right? Name error. Name y is not defined. It's saying, hey, you've got this thing over here called y. You refer to it as a variable. You never told me what y was. So I'm just gonna quit on you because I'm very confused right now. So this is also, honestly, you're gonna more commonly see this when you try to do you're gonna see this more often when you do something like this. Print done, as I showed you earlier, and you just simply forget to put that in quotations. See, over here, printed out x and y just fine, and then we got to line 6 and it says done is not defined. Right? So sometimes you'll get a name error because you forgot to print out a string. Right? Because you forgot to enclose a word in a string. You might also get this error when you do something like this, where you forget what's capitalized and what's not capitalized. Python's case sensitive, meaning it cares about uppercase and lowercase. That's one thing to note. And another way this can happen is, well, let's just show you. 200. So here's another error, zero division error. There's lots of different types of errors that can happen during runtime. But here we have x plus y, 3 and negative 3 become 0. Trying to divide a number by 0, oof. That's divide by 0, can't do that. So you get a zero division error. Finally, one last kind of error that we could get is when we try to convert things. So here, let's go ahead and say x is equal to int 1a. Let's fix that syntax error. Value error. There's no need to memorize all these types. I'm sure you've been frantically trying to scribble them down, but you don't need to memorize all these types of errors. These are just runtime errors. They can happen. The important thing here is that for each of these errors that occur, there is a meaningful message. And it's a skill. These things are red, they look scary, and they sound technical, but they tell you the line number they're on. Read the error. I guarantee that a bunch of the questions you might have for me can be fixed by reading the error and thinking about it. That doesn't mean don't come to me. Please come to me for help. But if you can fix it on your own, that's a pretty good feeling to have. Debugging is tricky, but it's a skill that comes with practice just like programming. And remember, just because you feel like you're the only one who doesn't get this, doesn't mean that's true. A lot of people will have trouble, and believing that you're the only one who's going to be having trouble is just not the truth.